Alle hamoed sukkos tavshin pei bruchim abayim b'shem Hashem b'shem Egen Shiur Torah. I'd like to welcome everyone to the first Shiur of the hamoed Shiurim Kiddush Hashem of Egen Shiur Torah. Part of the Egen Shiur Torah Shiurim, many kahillas throughout New York and New Jersey and Eretz Yisrael, Los Angeles, Kaina V'Reina. But we'd like to have a chelik in the tzos Hagdolos. Call Egen Shiur Torah 718-851-8651. Sponsor Shiur b'mishtatef in the big tzos of the Shiur hamoed Shiur has been zmanim. Today's hamoed Shiur of Rabbi Zev Smith is sponsored by Rabbi Spry. I'd like to introduce Rabbi Zev Smith with today's Shiur on Hashem Roi Loi Axser.
I'm Shagaf Heilman was the one sitting with a group of Talmidim in a lawn in Monsey, it's Medjelian, and he pointed to a stone that was in the middle. They were sitting in a circle. He says, pointed to one bacha, pick up that stone, which he did. And he says, look and tell me, what do you see, bacha? And they looked, nothing significant. He says, look again, you see something, there's something very special he's supposed to see. And they don't know what he's driving at. He says, think about it. You see those ants scurrying around? 30 seconds ago, those ants were living under the stone in total darkness, never saw sunshine, never saw a sunset, never saw a bird, never saw neflayis habayra. You picked up the stone and you introduced them to a whole new world, a lichtige world. And he let that thought penetrate, and he says, and that's what Torah is supposed to be. Avar Torah is so lichtig, it could illuminate the darkness. I want to share with you today, Bez Hashem, a machshava that I had. I think it really fits this description. A machshava that's really a yisoid in Ben Adam Lamakayim, Ben Adam Lachaverai, perhaps most importantly, Ben Adam La'atzmai. However, we could take it Lamaisa and apply it Lamaisa. The Gemara in Tainis Daf Chafei tells a story. Had it been a medrash, we would say it's a medrash pliya. Rabbi Zev ben Pedas, the Greis Amoira that the Gemara says about him in Nida, he was the Mara, the Ara, the Yisrael. Rabbi Zev ben Pedas lived in terrible poverty. So much so, he once had to have a medical procedure, make his dam. He's supposed to eat before that, he couldn't afford any food. And he Pashit almost died from hunger. When he came back, they asked him, what happened? So he says, and I quote, I was sitting with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and I asked the Rebbeinu Shalom, how long do I have to suffer? I have no food to eat. How long do I have to suffer? Adei Masai. So the Rebbeinu Shalom told me, Allah B'ni, Nichalei, do you want me, the Avchei, La Alma, V'had, the Avrei? Do you want me to turn over the whole world, destroy the world, and rebuild it? And then maybe you'll have more mezainis. A pliya. For the Rebbeinu Shalom to give the Heilig HaMoyer, Rabbi Zev ben Pedas, a little panas, he has to turn over the world. And Taka, I asked the Kadosh Baruch Hu, Amr Kamei, Kula Hai? But it makes the question so much stronger, who Rabbi Zev ben Pedas was. Besides the Mara, the Ara, the Yisrael, Mara tells us in Bav Metzia Pei Daled that after Rish Lakish was Nifta, he was chosen to replace the Havrusa for Rish Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan. Like Martin Yavamis Ayin Bey says, Rabbi Zev ben Pedas, Rabbi Yochanan said about him, Yoshev Adayrish Kemoishim Ipi Agvura. We all remember the Gemara in Erevin Nun Dalet Bavasa Tishge Samid. That's Rabbi Zev ben Pedas. A person as great as Rabbi Zev ben Pedas, the Rebbeinu has to turn over the world to give him a few dollars for panasa. I think there's a gewaltige lichtigkeit in this Gemara. And a while ago I had a shtickle machshava. There's a medrash in Vayetze, Samach Tes Gimel. It's also a medrash in the beginning of Miketz and the Alkut Shemaini there. So if the medrash says it in 3 places, it's obviously important. On the pasuk, V'hinei Hashem nitzav olav. By Yaakov Avinu, Harishayim miskayim al aleihem. That's Lashon Chayil. Rishayim are on top of their gods. Pari chaloim, v'hinei oimed al yar, which of course is obviously a tzanusa d'avodah zarah. Oich men avodah zarah. Oich men God. He's standing on his God. Aval tzadikin elokeim miskayim aleim shenem v'hinei Hashem nitzav olav. Apparently, the difference between a tzaddik and a rasha is this line, V'hinei Hashem nitzav olav. Obviously, that's the difference between a tzaddik and a rasha. That's what makes a Yaakov Avinu. We have to understand, what is it in this attitude, V'hinei Hashem nitzav olav? So I'm always amazed, maybe in the Shiur is the better word. You think about the life of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu was the Bechir Sheba'avos. He was the Musta of Shleimus. But the truth is, he was also the Musta of Yisurim, of difficulty. And usually we say, from the day he's born, he had problems. But Yaakov was even worse than that. Before he was born already, he's fighting with that bandit Esav. And he's born and he starts his lifelong fight with Esav, the Berchas Yitzchak. He runs away to a house of a shver that Bikesh Lakias Hakol. And then he fights with the Tsari Shal Esav and the Tsaras Dina and Rachel Akara. And he wants a little Menucha and Kaftal of Rugzil Shal Yosef. Binyamin. Then it's Shimon. Isn't it a Pella? Why is the Musta of Shleimus the Musta of Yisurim? But you know the bigger Pella is? Yaakov didn't feel all this. Chazal tell us, the Gemara in Bava Basra, the Tezayin and Beis, Yaakov's life was described, Hitim HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'olam hazeh me'ein olam haba. One of the three people that lived olam haba of their Welt was Yaakov Avinu. And how does it stem? Never-ending tzaras from the day he's born, and he's living olam haba of their Welt. But Libi Oimeli, the hezbollah to all of this is V'hinei Hashem nitzav olav. You know, the Medrash a little earlier in Vayetze Samachez Beis, when Yaakov reached the point that he's about to give up, as they state the Medrash, he said to himself, I'm going to give up? Ezi mi'im Hashem? Al yitam amayt raglecha, al yonam shemrecha, hine la yonam v'la yishan, Hashem yishmarcha mikol ra, from Esav and Lavan, yishmaz navshecha, Hashem yishmatzei sevayecha. And any point when Yaakov found it difficult, he realized he's not alone. Yaakov was living the words of David HaMelech, Hashem Roi, Lo Achser. It's just not, I'm not alone. You know, a person's biggest problem is when he feels, oi, what's going to be? But if he could visualize, V'hinei Hashem nitzav olav, the Rebbeinu Shalom put you right here. The Rebbeinu Shalom knows your kaiches. Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba b'trunyim b'yaisav. And if the Rebbeinu Shalom is right there, you have the kaiches to overcome. I once saw in someone's office a sign. It's a Goyish sign. I'm just going to make it a little more Yiddish. He says, don't tell Hashem your problems. Don't tell Hashem how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big Hashem is. Now, a Yiddish sign wouldn't say that because you're supposed to tell Hashem your problems. But that's the emes. Tell your problems how big the Rebbeinu Shalom is. Yaakov never felt hopeless because he was never alone. Rashi's Loshin, Hinashem Nitzav Olav L'Shomroi. There was a constant hashgacha pratis that he felt. Gam ki elach begeit salmaves la'ira ki ato imadi. And then you see a little later in history, something very similar to Yaakov's life. Someone mitzarecha that reached unparalleled shleimus, and someone that lived with tzaras kol yamav, and that's David HaMelech. I mean, you could talk about David. I saw once a lashon in Chazal. Adir shebemalachim, choseh b'chsidim, roish l'chachamim, ono ba'anovim, rishayin v'achrayin, hameshayrim l'fei melech malchei hamalachim. That was David. But there was no one that had tzaris at the same Chazal. Im kol zelay haya adam shenitztaya kol yemei chayav k'David. I mean, you just take out a kapitel till in Perek Samach Tes. Rabu misareis roisha isayin aichinam. Hayshein elikim ki bo mayim ad nefesh. Since he was a child, muzah hayisi le'echoi, they despised him, they looked down at him. His own shver wanted to kill him. His own son wanted to kill him. And David of all people became the Mervila Merkava. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and David. But not Stam, he made it. David's life, like we say every day in Hallel, Hoidul Hashem ki toiv ki li oilam chazdei. 26 times he said those words. Because he lived, Hashem roi Eloi echsa. If this is the Baruch Shalom wants, there's a cheshbon. But doik v'tishkach, a person has a lot of koiches until he convinced himself, I can't do it. But you know David's secret was in the same capital? The Shanta Bashem and Roishi, Kaiser Revoya. Rebbeinu Shalom, you anointed me. You gave me the koiches. You gave me a future. How this stems, that's not my problem. The Shanta Bashem and Roishi, I have the ability, I have the future, I have the potential, and I'm going to do it. A person that knows he's not alone, he's living Hashem Nitzav Olav, nothing is too difficult. I knew many years ago, I knew a precious Yid. It was a Yid then in his late 80s. He raised a beautiful family in the 20s in America, 20s and 30s. He told me, the biggest nisayon in those days was a person, an erlich person was mamish kamat alone. I mean, there was Shmir Shabbos was almost unheard of. Chilul Shabbos, there was no Beis Yaakov, no Koilelim, a few yeshivas, Chol of Yisrael, Man Dechar Shmei. I'll just give you a story. There was someone that he knew, an erlich Yid, who made Kiddush on Shabbos on Challah. And the person had wine, so he goes, why don't you make Kiddush on wine? Because you don't understand, I go to work on Shabbos. My yayin is yayin esech. You think about the confusion that went on in those days. And he raised a meridik, beautiful family. So I asked him, how'd you do it? So he said, you know why? Because I never was alone. I always felt alone, but I never felt alone. I used to think, was will the Rebbeinu Shalom? Does he want me to do this? Does he want me to not work on Chol HaMoed when people are working on Shabbos? Was will the Rebbeinu Shalom? Hine Hashem Nitzav Olav. But I would add, you know what else he heard probably? He heard the words of Rashi in the end of Vayera. Kachna es bincha, the Baruch Shalom tells Avram Shecht, your only son, HaKadosh Baruch Hu begged him, bivakosha mimcha, amoed li b'nisoyin hazeh. I know it's difficult, but I'm right there. I'm giving you chizik. You could do it. Dishanta b'Hashem and Roishi. I think the biggest problem is when a person feels, what's going to be? And he loses that feeling of Dishanta b'Hashem and Roishi. And as a Meredith Medrash in Eicha, Aleph Nun, one of the stories about the Churban, the Miriam, Shiva Baneha, the Kesa wanted that the son should bow down to him. And of course, the Erlich children, they refused. And he killed 6 of the children and he had 1 child left. He was facing terrible bizyonis. 7 children refused to bow. And he tells the child, look, your brothers at least lived some years. You are a little child. If I kill you, what's going to be? No, I'm not bowing. So I'll make a deal with you. It's up to Medrash. I'll drop my ring on the floor and you'll pick it up as if you're bowing, but you're just picking up my ring. So the child, and you make a cheshbon, he's a young child. He says, I don't understand you, Kesa. You're worrying what people say? I should bow because what people say? But what about the Rebbeinu Shalom? So the Kesa says, Rebbeinu Shalom? Where's the Rebbeinu Shalom? Look at your brothers. So the child, without skipping a beat, says, Amalei Ali Alecha Kesa, woe is to you. V'chi oilam shel hefker Isa? You think this is a hefker? A young child was living Hashem Nitzav Olav. He didn't just see 6 brothers. The Rebbeinu Shalom is right there. You're worrying about what someone says, and what about the Rebbeinu Shalom? He saw the biggest problem. He saw the most mightiest emperor, and he spied him in Panamarai. Hine Hashem Nitzav Olav. I won't do this. Maybe he also heard Bevakasha Mimcha Amoid Li B'Nisoyin Hazeh. And Daik Fatishkach, so much of Bein Adam LaMokayim is a person that's living Vas Vil the Rebbeinu Shalom. And if the Rebbeinu Shalom gave me this matzav, I could do it. But there's more to the bracha. of V'hinei Hashem Nitzav Olav. I want to share with you a shayla that a 9th grader asked me once. He must have been 14, not more than 15 years old. Someone was being right of him, giving him Agbas Nefesh, and he asked me, how should I react to it? So that's already shayna godless. You know, most people shoot first and ask later, but he's asking. I said, tell me, what are the choices? How are you going to react? You want to take Nekama? He goes, Chas v'shalom. I was thinking of davening that the boy should stop being right with me, but then I made a cheshbon. Whatever happens is all Ratzon Hashem. So obviously these redifas, this aggravation is Ratzon Hashem. Maybe I shouldn't daven that the aggravation should stop. I remember thinking at the time, Mika Amcha Yisrael, Rebbeinu Shalom, where'd you get such children from? A young 15-year-old boy is a nirdaf, and all he sees is the Rebbeinu Shalom. Now, of course, he should daven, and we all should daven when they're tzaris. But the attitude, v'chi oilam shel hefka reisa, you think it's just a hefka welt? I don't know if this bacha ever learned Sefer Chinuch, but he's mechaven to one of the most important yisoidis of the Sefer Chinuch regarding ben adam l'chaverei. The Chinuch and Mitzvah Reish Mem Aleph wonders, how could the Rebbeinu Shalom ask of a person like Sikkim, don't take revenge? A person naturally wants to take revenge. He's hurt. He wants to take Nekama. You know, the Tzil Shalom writes, Nekama is Mesuka Mitvaj, and only a Malach could be asked like Sikkim. And here you have a mitzvah, and get to every 30, every bar mitzvah bach, every yid, like Sikkim. Zok the Chinuch, Mishrashi ha-mitzvah sheyed ha-adam v'yitin alibay, ki kol asher yikreyu mitoy v'adra, hu siba shetovay alav me'eis Hashem baruch hu. Whatever happens to me is all part of the intricate, exquisite hashgacha pratis. And therefore, if someone is mitzaya, you, yede benafshay ki avaynoisav garmu, v'Hashem yizbarach gazalav b'kach. V'lo yoshes machshavtay linkam yimenu, Ki hu einoi sibas ra'asoi. You got it all wrong. It's not him. This is min Hashem. And he brings an incredible raya. David HaMelech, the story of David and Shimi ben Ger and Shmuel Beis, Perek Tezayim, Pasuk Yud Aleph. David's with a very dark moment. He's running for his life, but he's still Melech Yisrael. And out comes Shimi ben Ger, and like David HaMelech referred to it, he starts cursing me and throwing stones at Melech Yisrael. So of course David's men wanted to take him to Kama. So listen to David's response. Ki nicholai v'yikalel ki amalai Hashem. And a second time in the pasuk earlier, ki Hashem amalai kalel umi yoim amadu asisa. What are you taking revenge from Shimi ben Ger? It's not him. It's Borei Olam. He's the messenger. He's the shliach. Look at the klarkeit. Look at the clarity of Emunah. Hashem amalai kalel. It's the same David HaMelech. Gam ki elech begeit salmodes lo ira ra ki ato imadi. And here was living that. Now a person is so overwhelmed by a problem, he doesn't see the Borei Olam behind the problem. And zok the chinuch, if you live like that, then there's no sinner, and there's no nekama. Nimtza v'mitzvah zu te'eles rabba lahashvis hariv ulahave hamshmotais mimaisa b'yadam. A person that sees Hashem amalei kalel. Now, of course, we once spoke about it in a different discussion. The person that hurt someone else and is mavazah someone has to give a din v'cheshbon. He uses his bechira to hurt me. But as come out all the Rishonim say, and with exception the Archaim HaKadish's famous Chiddush in Parashat Vayeshev, but come out all the Rishonim and all the Archaim say, a Baal Bechira cannot hurt me if that's not Ratzon Hashem. So how did that stem? So the Rebbeinu Shalom knows, and he used his Bechira. It's like Parah being punished for carrying out Ratzon Hashem. Why did you do it? But at the end of the day, like the Nesivas teaches the Pasuk in Eicha, Mi ze oma vatehi Hashem lo yitziva? Can someone say something if the person doesn't allow him to say that? If the Nirdaf doesn't deserve that bizyonis. Hayal al adazok to nesiva, someone could hurt me if I don't deserve it. That's the yisoid of Inad Machaveira. Someone at work, it could be a spouse, a child, a neighbor does something. You're upset at him. Did you forget this in Ashkocha Pratis? Did you forget what the Gemara says in Chul and Avzayim? Ein Adam Noikiv etzboi milamato kemachrizin olav milamayla. Every stub of the fingers with a cheshbon. Did you forget the Gemara in Erechin at Heichon Tachlis Yisurim? Dr. Erechin Tezayin. If he sticks his hand into the pocket to take out a quarter and out comes a nickel, that's Yisurim. And that's part of the Hashgacha Pratis. So every stub of the finger and every wrong move is part of the master plan. And then when someone does something wrong, you lose yourself, you point the blaming, accusing finger. And there was a 15-year-old bacher that lived with this. It's not him, he's a shliach. And that's why the Torah could ask of a yid who has a mona in his blood, loisikim v'loisita, ki hu einai sibas ra'asai. I once told someone this mashal. So imagine you have two bachim driving late at night down Ocean Parkway, and they decide he's going to jump the light. So his friend said, you better be careful, because why? There's no police. Yeah, but they're taking pictures. Within a week you're going to get a ticket. He goes, nah, I don't believe it. And he continues jumping the lights. So every day he's worried he might get a ticket in the mail. You know how it is. He's waiting. It's almost 2 weeks. He says, yeah, I knew it. At the end of 2 weeks, the mailman comes and he's on top of the pile of mail. It says strictly confidential, Department of Motor Vehicle. He got a ticket. And he's so upset. I mean, the frustration and the anxiety is the build-up, and he's so upset he starts to beat up the mailman. What are you doing? He has nothing to do with it. He just brought you the mail. That's what the chinuch is saying. Hu einai sibas ra'asai. Shimi ben Ger is the mailman of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's the Garzim b'yad ha'chaytzev. What do you want from him? Imagine you live with that. Imagine there being Adam Chaveroi. Of course, the pain doesn't go away, but at least it's not between me and him. It's me trying to understand was will mein Tate, was will the Bari Olam. And that every Yid is expected to live with. Hu einai sibas ra'asi. I try to say it over and over, so when we live with that, then there's no me and him. Then am I going to get the message or not? I was speeding, I did something wrong. I saw once in the Sefer Chassidim, one of the Gdolei Rishonim, in Kuf Pei Gimel, someone was Metzayer, he writes a Chacham. So someone asked him, why don't you take Nekama from the one that caused you to sar? So the Chacham says, but then I'm going to have to take Nekama from myself. He goes, but you're not causing yourself tsar. He goes, I know, but it's my Avoinaisai Gormu L'tzar Zeh. So why should I punish myself? That's a Yiddish attitude. But maybe, besides the bin Adam Lamakim, besides the Adam L'Chaveroi, I think this attitude is a Yesod bin Adam La'atzmoi. We all want to have Simchas Achayim. We all want to live a Mi'en Olam Haba of Develt. We want to live a Hoyv Lashem Ki Toiv attitude like David. Where does it come from? It comes from living V'hinei Hashem Nitzav Olav. It comes from living Hashem Roi Loi Achsar. I'm always particularly moved by one incident in the life of Yaakov Avinu. Probably the most challenging, most challenging moments when Yaakov was asked to give up his son Binyamin. Don't forget, he thought Yosef is gone. Shimon is sitting in some jail in Mitzrayim, he'll never see him again. And now I have to give up Binyamin? Yosef einenu, v'Shimon einenu, v'es Binyamin tikachu, alai hayikulana. We should never know the tzar of losing one child. Chazal had a special word for that. But he's losing his third child. And Yaakov expressed his tzar, La mahariyosim li lahagid la'ish ha'oi lachemach. Why did you cause me bad by telling that wicked viceroy in Mitzrayim you have another brother? And the Medrash in Mikei Tzadik Aleph Yud, Kaviyachal, I mean, was but the Maisa, the Medrash says the Baruch had a taina on Yaakov Avinu. But if you think of the Lashon of the Medrash, you see Yaakov's unparalleled godless. Mi oilam le'oma Yaakov Avinu dava shel batola. In his lifetime, living a life of tzaras from beginning till the end, he never said one thing wrong. Except for this. Elakach am HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yaakov, why did you say Lama Hariyosa? And he oisik lahamlach es b'noi b'Mitzrayim. I'm turning over the world. I'm orchestrating a master plan. The whole world is revolving around getting Yosef to become the tzaddik Yisrael, to save Mitzrayim, to save his children, his brothers and his father and his parents. I'm orchestrating this plan, beginning with Sarah Mashkim, Sarah Oifim, and Paro's dream, and Yosef. All of this to save you. V'hu oima lama hariyosem. Do you hear the oimik, or do you hear the pashtus of it? Even in the darkest moment, Yaakov is supposed to live. V'hine Hashem nitzav olav. Yaakov Yeshira Sachayim was, the Baruch is right there. And now you could say lama hariyosa. Bitte, das hier, aber schlecht, hariyosa. Your whole life you saw the Bari Olam. And how could you not see it when you're losing your third son? But maybe it's even more oimik, or more pashtis. How do you say those words, lama hariyosa? You're blaming your sons? Your sons fear the Welt? Did you forget Hashem Amalei Kalel? Did you forget this Hashgacha Pratis on every Chut HaSayra and Kolski, something as significant as that? And Doik V'Tishkach. Person has tremendous strength to overcome the Nisyonis. The problem is when he loses his Yishuv Hadas. When he doesn't see that it's all Bari Olam. I pointed out, if you look in one of the Ishanas that we say, there's one of the days of Ishanas, we talk about the problems that face every part of the Bria. Adama Me'erd saved the ground from curse. Kerem from Telas, the wine press should be saved from worms that will destroy it. Lekesh Mi'arbe, the late crop should be saved from Arbe. And goes through all the different parts of the Bria. And then it comes to the Adam. How would you define what is Adam's biggest problem? So look at that Aishana. Nefesh mi bahala. Because at the end of the day, it's that bahala, that confusion, that tumultkeit, that panic, that a person thinks, oh, what's going to be? Everything was going good until. And then, lama hariyosa. Then even a bechir sheba'avois could say lama hariyosa. Those two words, if only, they rob a person of a simchas achayim. If only this, if only not this, but he has it all figured out. This is his problem. And the eighth is to realize v'hine Hashem nitzav olav. Baron Zechon Levroch, in the last days of his life, he was suffering from the Enamachla. And his Rebbetzin noticed that he was in pain. So he told him, Zog sich nicht, es wird sein gut. Don't worry, it's sein gut. So he protested, B'she'eres koichai. And he says, es ist schon gut. Es ist schon gut, weil ich bin in guter Hand. It's amazing how a Godel has a siyata d'shmaya to touch up the ganze Betochen in that line. Es ist schon gut, weil ich bin in guter Hand. The Baron wasn't living in denial. He knew he had a very schwere mach, needed a big Yeshua. But it's not a steer. Ich bin in guter Hand. Gam ki elach begeit salmoves, ki ati modi. I once saw someone had a refrigerator. I had stark on one of these magnetic posters. It says, don't worry, everything is under control. And in the next line is small letters, not yours. That's the Yiddish Emunah. Everything is under control, kipshutai. Every stub of the finger, every time you take out the wrong coin, every bizillion is earmarked from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everything is under control. But it's not yours. But ich bin in gute Hand. And that's the difference between a life of Hoidel Hashem Ki Tov or a life of Nefesh Mi B'Hala. Whether it's Gesund or Parnasa or Chinech Habanam or Shidduchim. Like one wise person said, if it doesn't go the way you like it, then like the way it goes. And the same works in Yiddish also. But that's Ich bin in gute Hand. I once saw the Kraim Digers of the Stipel in Aleph and Dalet quotes a zog of the Heilige Chazon Ish. And the Chazon Ish would often say, von sich allein entläuft man nicht. Now, what I think B'kavonas Kotshay, but it's a tremendous yisoid in coming to a life of Hoidel Hashem Ki Tov Ki Olam Chazdoin. A person with his very limited vision has it all figured out. If I had a better job, a better family, an easier child, more panosa, a better head, and he has a whole list. If only this and this, I would be okay. But now, look, I can't succeed in this matziv. Von sich allein entläuft man nicht. You don't realize, the Baruch Shem Kaviyachal 1,000 times, but every day sits down and gives exactly what we need. And we make a bracha she'asa li kol tzarki every day. This is your tachlis. This is your shlichus. This is you. You're running away from yourself? No one asks you to be with a better this or a better that. The Baruch Shem knows what you are, your tachlis achayim is. You have it all figured out? Von sich allein entläufen it. There was a bach in the Shiva now, was a young man now, who's nifta recently, but he was born with cystic fibrosis. He had terrible yisurim. And Rabbi Aaron Leib was in America, so one of the Rebbeim brought him to Baron Leib and told him the story, how he's mamish of the whole yeshiva, he has such a big bal yisurim, how does he go on? Well, what should he do? So Baron Leib gave a very cryptic, short response. And he said these words, Giveiga, the only thing she write on his matzeva was that he learned Torah mitoch yisurim. That was the end of the conversation. So I looked up to find the exact nusach, and this is the exact nusach. Not to write any shevach, Zula ze Hashem migil chamesh esrei, oy sheish esrei, ksaviat kotshei, lamadati im talmidim b'yisurim gedolim. That's what he allowed to write in his tzavo, on his matzev. But the Baron Leib told him such a golden attitude, such a tremendous chochmah and hadracha. There are some people, most people, the tachlis achayim is to learn Torah. And we have occasionally yisurim. But for some people, the tachlis achayim is to learn Torah mitoich yisurim. That's their mission. Hopefully their tachlis will be the one that's going to be a mustal adairis. Look, he had such yisurim from 5, 15, 16. He learned mitoich yisurim. Baron Leib was telling him, von sich allein entläufen it. Obviously, the Baruch Shem chose you to be a mustal adairis, that you could be in the yeshiva with yisurim, and be taka like that younger man was, the Arisha b'chabura, the Reish chabura. Sometimes a person's tachlis is to teach others the shvera sugi of chaviv and yisurim. But maybe it's even more than that. You know, Ramchal, in his Heilig Sefer Das Tfunais, and this is Amid Kufmam Gimel in the Chaim Friedlander's print, he writes a Yisoid Achayim. You should know, he says, Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moyis Yigi Kappa V'lo Oilam Chas V'Shalom. The Baruch Shem never gives a person something that's absolutely ra. Ve'enei Oiz Meniachas Oilam. Ela B'shah Shenira Ki Lo Oilam Ozav Mimenu Ho Inyan Hu Adarabba Ku Mechadish Toiv Lo Oilam V'niflo Oisav U'machshev Tamid Kol HaYoim Rak L'Tikunei Shel Oilam V'loi Kil Kulei. The Baruch Shem is the toiv, the tachlis ha-toiv, the ultimate toiv, with nothing else. But he has to disguise it with a hester gadol ma'od. And the word, it looks like the Baruch Shem left us. And his raya to this gewaltige yisoid is Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov said, Lam hari yoisam. And Taka looked terrible. But look behind the scenes, ani oisik lahamlaches b'nai b'mitzrayim. What looks as a matziv of ozuv is a matziv of hine Hashem nitzav olav. And then he adds a dava nifla. I'm going to read the exact lashon. This yisoid, what the Rebbeinu Shalom gives good, it has to be preceded with an asayin, with a shverikite. Chayshech brings the ar. Zeh bana of. This is a expression of Gemara's lashon, but this is a klal. Shelachol ilu sheraitza kadosh baruch hu laseis la'adam, oy la'olam, a yachid or rabim. Hine kol zman his daman hatoiv, einay mizdaman uba, ela mitoich oymek eitzah nisteres. Valken yikra koidem loitzar. Every mailam, every ilui, every steiging, every advancement in ruchnius has to be preceded by an asayin. And then he says a mavel dikip pshat in the Gemara, and that's pshat in the Gemara in Brachos daf hey. Shloishim atanis toivos lasa kadosh baruch hu Yisrael, v'kulam nitnu aydei yisurim. Godless Torah Eretz Yisrael. But there has to be Yisurim. Difficulty is not a spirit to godless, it's the key to godless. It's the stepping stone to godless. Now, I told someone, you're not doomed, you're destined. But you have to rise to the occasion. You have to realize that this is the oifen to get where I want to get to. But if you look a little earlier in Das Tvunis, Amid Mem Hey, he says it again even starker, even more emphatically. And then he says, a new pshat. How we live with this pshat? That pshat in the Gemara in Brachos daf samach, kol da'ovid rachmana l'tav ovid. Right now, it looks terrible, true. But the outcome, what looks like a hamba amarois, is lahamalaches b'noi. What's the tzara is the revachim. What you think is the afel is the argadol. What you think is the nefil is the aliyah. Chatzkel, in one of his letters in Shin Tzadik Beis, he quotes this Ramchal, and he writes, and very real is he write about himself, and he writes with such a tkifos, V'ani hageva asher isa zois, ki amatzav mashenas litzar chas v'sholem, ha'yasib lahasik ha'toiv, kol daval nesayin, achakachu toiv. That's part of the Rebbeinu Shalom's master plan. You want a madrega? Let's see if you deserve it. We'll give you a little chayshech, turn it into argadol. It reminds me of the heilige yisoid of Rabbeinu Yoin and Shari Tshuva Beis Hey. Yesh ala beiteyach b'Hashem, true betachim, lahoichel, to hope, b'me'uf sukkos, in the depth of his problems, ki yachayshech sibas oiroi. And he quotes the pasuk, Al tisma yafti lik and afalti kamti, is up the medrash, il moilai nefalti, lai kamti, il moilai hayachayshech, lai Hashem orli. But those words are such a source of chizik. Ki yachayshech sibas oiroi. You know, in English is an expression, don't worry, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But that's not what Rabbeinu Yoin is saying. Rabbeinu Yoin is saying the light at the end of the tunnel comes from the darkness of the tunnel. It's not, don't worry, there's something at the end. The tunnel, the darkness of life, brings the Or Gadol. Choshech sibas oiroi. It's not a prize, it's what you earned. And then I realized, that's the oimik of this sugya. Why, how, Yaakov, the musta of Shleimus is the musta of Yisurim? The answer, that's not the kasha, that's the teretz. It's not in spite of, it's because of. Because he had so much chayshach, he's able to turn it into Or Gadol. How was David, the Bavil and Merkava, such a madrega? That's not the kasha, that's the teretz. Because he had a life of Rob Misaris Roishi Sayin. Because he had all these nisyonis, that's the way he became what he became. Someone once asked me, you know, when Nosson Steve Finkel was here in America, so he didn't know him from before, but he heard about him. He's probably one of the biggest Mabitzi Torah in Alador. And he saw his matzvah, his physical condition, and he says, how do you understand this? And the biggest Mabitze Torah probably in Dairis, and the biggest Bal Yisur. I told him, I'm not the Bar Shlam's lawyer, and the Bar Shlam doesn't need a defense. But it's the same Yisayt. How is he Zayach to be a unparalleled Marbitz Torah that wasn't like this in Dairis? There was a Choshech Sibas Oyer. Or maybe even more so. Maybe he understood that his tachlis was to be that musta of Torah Mitayach Yisurim. Maybe the more the Ovid Rahman or the Tav Ovid, the more Chaysh, the more Argadol. And then I understood the Klarkite of the Gemara Tainus we began with. Why was Abelazar ben Padas Zaycha to be the Mar, the Arad, the Yisrael, and the Mamal Mokim Rish Lakish, and Dairish K'Moshe Piagvuram, and why was he the Mustav Avasa Tishge Samid? It's because he had this difficult life. And then when he turned to the Bar Shlam, can't I have a little more money? The Bar Shlam told him, "Von sich allein ant life in it." You don't realize. Your tachlis is to be the Mustav of Limud HaTorah Mitoich Yisurim. That's your shlichus. To change that is to change the whole world. You know, Dessler says very similar in Michtav Dalet 99, page 99. He says, there are some people that their tachlis to learn Torah. They have an asayin of Oini, but there are some people, their tachlis to be a Kiddush Hashem, to be a Chizik L'Doiris. This person had difficulty, and look what he became. But whatever the case is, to change a person's shlichus achayim means changing the world. And that's the halacha l'maisa of this Gemara. The Bar Shlam was telling him, von sich allein ant life in it. You're bringing your lichtigkeit, you're creating your lichtigkeit. Don't run away from it. And believe me, if there's one easy path to go through life, it's those words, ich bin in gute Hand. Because, like the Mr. Sharm quotes the Medrash, there's an oilam and a soyin, ha'adam anivra elamid ben a soyin. But when someone's living, Hani Hashem nitzav olav, then he could go through whatever the Baruch Shalom sends him his way. And then he could maybe live me'oin oilam haba of der Welt. Whether it's been Adam al-Chaverai, been Adam al-Mak, been Adam al-Atzmai, but someone that's living, ich bin in gute Hand, Hashem roi lo axsar, and he hears the Baruch Shalom saying, amoed b'nesoyin zeh. That's where he gets through life. But he has to know what the word bitachon really means. You know, the Chazon Ish in the beginning of Perik Beis of Amun and Bitachon, he writes about this old mistake that crept its way into a Yiddish heart. He says, "Belev ram musik shel bitachon," that a person thinks bitachon is, I have bitachon, I'm going to get a shidduch, I'll get the shidduch. I have bitachon, I'll get a job, I'll get the job. Whatever I have bitachon, I'll get. So the Chazon Ish writes somewhat sarcastically, unless you're a Navi, you don't know what's going to be. You can't say that. That's not bitachon. I want, I'll get it. So what is bitachon? So the Heilige Chazon Ish, aval inyan bitachon hu ha'imon, the belief, she'ein mikra ba'olam, v'chol anasa tachas hashemesh, hakol b'achraza me'ita yizbarach. The Yisayid bitachon is v'chi olam shel hefkari isa. Do you think that just happened? Do you think that Rabbi Zev Smith Chol was not given money because they couldn't afford a few dollars, chas v'sholem? There's a tachlis, there's a shlichus to every single person. I once made a list of Rishonim and Gedolei Achronim that say this taich in bitachon. Okay, some say differently, but I think the overwhelming majority of Rishonim and Achronim say bitachon means believing whatever the Baruch Shem gives me is what I'm supposed to get. Ron Zechon Levracha once told the story, heard this from the Baal HaMaisa. Then this Baal HaMaisa was a young bacher during the Second World War, and he was a Gerrit Chassid. And then his whole family was killed out, and now he was in the concentration camps trying to stay alive. And he said he used to used to occur to him he has no one left alive in his family, but he kept on pushing on. One day the Nazis, mamash, a sadistic act she'ein kamoyu, just to entertain him, they took a bunch of them, him included. Pardon me, they undressed them, and they had a big acid barrel full of acid, and everybody had to go into the acid barrel. They would put the cover on top, and the Nazi would sit on top of it. And you imagine being in acid without clothing, mamish, it burns. And they would let him out if he's still alive. And he's watching what's going on. He said, "Oh God, this is not normal. I have nothing to live for." He says, "I don't even have clothing. I have nothing to live for. I'm not going into the acid barrel. If they want to shoot me, they could do it. I'm not going in." He's getting closer and closer, and he's defiant. If they shoot me, he's a nazoi. Right before he got in, he said, I thought of a new shot, and mipsari echzor leka. I have nothing less to life, no relatives, not even clothing, no future. But there's a Rebbeinu Shalom. And this acid barrel is not the Nazis' acid barrel. This is the Rebbeinu Shalom's acid barrel. And he said, I jumped into the barrel when it came my turn with such a simcha. He told us, trust me, that when they called me out, I didn't want to go out. I had such an einig, I had such a pleasure delighting in the Rebbeinu Shalom's acid barrel. Bika amcha Yisrael. Gam ki elech lo iyaro ki ati modi. Even in the acid barrel, the hine Hashem nitzav olav. But you know, to me, the bigger lesson is, that's betachin. You know, you think he had this novel betachin, and suddenly the acid barrel turned into a nahara yotzim eden. No, betachin is this is what the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted. In the chayshech, he saw the Hashem nitzav olav. Tyreed, everybody has their little acid barrels. Tipped abyssal, it hurts a little bit. But to see me, sorry, echza, to see I'm not alone. And I had a problem more than once with Bachram. They're busy with a shidduch and it's going great and it's almost official, and the last minute, the other side says no. And what do you tell a Bachar that oilam chayshich badoy? His life fell apart. A victim of nefesh mi b'holam. I told him what our Pam used to say in such a situation. But it's the gap for all disappointments in life, not just for a shidduch, it's for a job or for a house, whatever it may be. We find in Parashas Balak, Bilam is going to his defining moment of his career. He's going to curse Klal Yisrael, and he's going to make it in the biggest way. And he's going, Vayisyatzeiv Malach Hashem b'derech l'satan loi. And a Malach came to stop him. Amish Satan, to stop him from the peak of his career. Zok Rashi, Malach shel rachamim hoya. What did that mean? He wants to do what's going to put him on the map, make him the biggest person, the biggest Navi Umas Ha'olam, and the Malach, a Satan stops him, and Rashi turns it into Malach shel rachamim. But any child knows the Pashat Pshat. Had he cursed Klal Yisrael, he would have been doomed. Like Rashi himself says, had he cursed Klal Yisrael, he would be doomed. What looks like a Satan is really a Malach Shel Rachamim. How many times in Shidduchim do we see this ourselves? Shidduch almost works out, falls apart, and we sometimes think Lam Hariyosa. A few weeks later, a few months later, maybe a few years later, when the right shidduch comes along, we say, Haid Lashem Ki Tov, that the right shidduch came along, and you didn't let me fall into that problem. A Yid came up to me a long time ago, and he asked me, can I make a kiddush for a big investment that fell apart? I said, what do you mean? He says, let me tell you the story. But did he have a yuvda? Someone approached, I'm going to leave out the details for obvious reasons. An investment to make guaranteed big money. I have to give a little bit money and put a house as a security. And it was a firm Yid, so I thought, why not? I had a grandmother who promised me her house after she passed away. And I asked if I could put her house down. It was mamash $1 million house, he told me. I put her house down. She said, listen, it's your house, do what you want. He says, it's guaranteed. He goes, well, do what you want. And he tried to do all the paperwork, and somehow it fell through. A little while later, it was exposed that this was one of these Ponzi schemes that put people in jail, B'kitza. But he said, the lawyer that was involved said, any house that was put down was seized and taken away, and he would have lost $1 million on the spot, besides his investment. Can you make a kiddush? We have very limited vision. We're very nearsighted. What looks like a satan is a malach shel rachamim. Now, in a different time, he said, one of the most frightening moments in the Megillah. I mean, the Megillah at first was one big lahashmid laharek with no hope in sight. The Haman, the Rosh, and Achsher is even worse. But there's a glimmer of hope. There's a nitzitz of Yeshua. Esther rises to power. Maybe that's the avenue of the HaKadosh Baruch Hu to save Klal Yisrael. But nothing doing. All of a sudden, Esther invites Haman to the party. You know what a panic it caused? Fragt die Gemara Megillah auf Tezvav and Beis, Ma'arase Esther shezimna es Haman. How did Esther, in such a time when everything is working out, why did you invite Haman, the arch enemy? So the Gemara goes on to quote 11 Tanoim and Amoraim, different motivations why Esther invited Haman to the party. 11 from Tanoim and Amoraim. Zog the Gemara, and Rabbi met Eliyahu Navi and says, tell me, which is the real pshat? Zog the Gemara Kukula. They're all right. The Tanoim, the Amoraim are right. Pam added, think about it. Esther, Seif Kosevus a bus of Adam, did something as bizarre as can be. There are 11 cheshbainis why she did that. And when Avinu of Arachman does something that we can understand and we can appreciate, how many more cheshbainis are there? Our problem is we only see the near, what's right in front of us, the here and now. We're very nearsighted. What seems like a satan is a malach shel rachamim. I have this also with Bachrim, that since they're bar mitzvah, since they're mesifta, they're dreaming to get into the yeshiva with a hey yediyah, maybe a beis hayediyah, ve'ein laharach. And they're trying, and comes lamaisa, they can't get in. Mamish, you could see a bachar that's walking around lamali chayim. Mamish walking around like, oilam choshech badoy. And you think, bachar tai, what are you thinking? You want to steig, right? Don't you know the Baruch wants you to steig more than you want yourself to steig? Don't you know tzvicha midvar agigdala oin balausa? Don't you think there's a cheshbon? What are you thinking? He's not thinking. I spoke to one of the Gedolei Rosh Yeshiva who deals with this problem, and he says, I've seen this without exception. Those that go to the yeshiva, they weren't supposed to go, steig more than they would have steiged in where they wanted to go. Those that give up and fall apart, they give up and fall apart. But what seems to be a satan is a malach shel rachamim. Whether it's the yeshiva, or a business, or an investment, or a deal. But this is the attitude. A person has to do ishtadlus and has to daven and try protectia, whatever he can. But if it doesn't work and the Baruch is sending me right here, then I make a bracha b'shem shamayim she'asa li kol tzarki. This is my tachlis. Every stub of the toe, every move is Ratzon Hashem. Zeh bana of. Every time something doesn't go the way we want, the way we like the way it goes, because lemaisa ich bin in gute hand. Try the yishtal is not a stira. But if you wake up this morning and this is what the Baruch is sending me, then this is best for me. Imagine you meet a friend of yours, whenever he has no job, he has no panasa. Tell him, I have a great job for you. Go to Pliny. He's looking for a worker. He says, I'm not going near Pliny. Says, why not? I know the true story. A few people went to this Pliny for an interview, and he starts yelling and screaming and harassing people. I don't want this person as my boss. So you say, listen, I know the whole story. I know that boss. He's a tzaddik nizgav. He wants to test you to see if you have a little endurance, if you have savlonis. But I guarantee he's the nicest person in the world. Listen to me. Go to the interview. Sit down. Ignore the insults and the harassment. You'll be the luckiest person. You'll thank me for it. You meet the fella a few months later. Brachos of dein cup. He's the nicest boss I've ever had. He's unbelievable. Just like you said, I walked in yelling, screaming, but he's the nicest person. Life, sometimes what we want in life, comes along with a little bit of the yelling and the screaming. Like the Medrash says about Yaakov, like the Ramchal says the Bana of, like Ibn Yonis says, Choshech Sibas Oiroi, like the Gemara in Brachis says, was one of the Kinyanei HaTorah, like the Gemara in Brachis says, called the Ovid Rachman or the Tav Ovid. But it's not a boss that's screaming and yelling. It's Avinu Avarachman that's begging us, B'vakosha mimcha hamoed li b'nesoyin hazeh. It's, I'm going to give you an Ilui Gadol, but don't say Lama Hariyosa. Sing, Hine Hashem Nitzav Olav. That's the Sam HaChayim. That's the Derech HaChayim, the Chochmas HaChayim. Wherever I am is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Whatever the matzav is, I'm allowed to and I have to try to change things. But if this is where I find myself, then this is Ratzon Hashem. In this matzav. You know, it's so inspiring how people talk. I'm going to work, I'm going to yeshiva, whatever applies to you. Im Yirtzeh Hashem. Where do you work? 5 minutes away. You walk, right? What do you mean Im Yirtzeh Hashem? What do you mean? I can't go to work if that's not Ratzon Hashem. Something will happen. I'm going to work 5 minutes away Im Yirtzeh Hashem, right? I'm going to yeshiva Im Yirtzeh Hashem. That's the Heilige Reine Yiddish Emunah. Nothing happens if it's not Yirtzeh Hashem. Good. Okay. Fast forward 15 minutes, he gets to work, gets to yeshiva, and someone does something to him, or says something to him, and he loses himself. Rabbi Yid, where's your golden emunah? 15 minutes ago you said with such a shankite, with such an eidlikite, with such a klarkite, with such a reinkite, with such a dehoibenkite, im Yirtzeh Hashem. And this is not part of im Yirtzeh Hashem? What happened to your golden emunah? And I was thinking it's a wonderful, wonderful idea to also have a new expression in our talk. Besides Im Yirtzeh Hashem, but 3 other words. When something goes a little wrong or a lot wrong, Kach Ratzah Hashem. This is Ratzon Hashem. This is the most, because Mi Zeh Amavatei Hashem Loitziva. Because if there are 2 words that rob a person is Simchas HaChayim, it's if only. If only this, if only he didn't say this didn't happen. And the 3 words that bring back all the Simchas HaChayim is Kach Ratzah Hashem. Now of course, the problem is still there. But now it's not me and him. It's not a world out of control, Chas v'Shalom. It's not V'chi Olam Shel Hefker Yisa. Now it's Avinu Avarachaman. Now it's Bari Olam. Now it's a different way of looking at the issue. A while ago, I had a certain person, interesting person, I must tell you, but he had a problem, a persistent problem. I knew his personality, so I knew how he would relate to it. I told him, why don't you just sit back and enjoy the ride? He's very surprised that I said that. He's like, what do you mean? So I told him, and the truth is, Ba'asi l'chazek min imtzeisi mechuzek. I think it's the gate to me also. You know, a person that's a driver knows what a good driver dreads is a backseat driver. Now, a backseat driver, someone sits in the front, it's even worse. But every 5 minutes, do this, don't do it, watch out, do it. And that person doesn't know how to drive. And you're driving. And all of it makes no sense. So you finally say, why don't you just sit back and enjoy the ride? And I know how to drive and you don't. What you're saying is just getting me nervous and you nervous. We're both going to get to our destination with frazzled nerves. So what are we gaining? I know how to drive and you don't. You trust me, right? Just sit back and enjoy the ride. But I added to this. A number of years ago, I took my children to a kosher amusement park. And there was this roller coaster, cyclone, whatever the word you want to call it. And there's a long line of people waiting to get onto the ride. And my children were waiting also. And all you could hear, up from the rides, yelling and screaming and twitching. People are so scared. It's up and down, mamish, mekwitchit, mamish. So I told my children, look at this. This is interesting. People are waiting online. They're paying, I imagine, good money to go on the ride and yell and scream and kvitcha. Why don't they sit back and enjoy the ride? Now, what does that mean? This is very safe. The government regulates it. It has to be safe. You want to go on? Go on. But why don't you sit back and enjoy the ride? What do you gain with all this worrying? The Baruch is our manik. And we sometimes are the backseat drivers. We tell the Baruch what to do and how to go and where to turn. Why don't we sit back and enjoy the ride? And sometimes when we feel life is sort of like a roller coaster, but you have that safety net of HaKadosh Baruch Hu Bo B'Trinyim B'Yosef. You won't get in a sign that you can't handle. So why are you choosing the misery of Lama Hari Yosef, yelling and kvitching, when you can live in the life of Hini Hashem Nitzav Olav, when you can live Me'ein Olam Haba, Hoydel Hashem Ki Toiv, Ki Li Olam Chazdoi? Why do you choose a life of Nefesh Mi Bahala if yours is Me'ein Olam Haba? Let me just be Messiah. Something I heard this by Mankiv Galinsky a number of years ago. He once met the Pandavich Rav. Pandavich Rav said, Rabbi Yankel, tell me, imagine you're dreaming, you have this following dream. You're in the 10th story of an apartment building, and a terrible fire engulfed the whole building. You're much too high to jump, 10th story, there's no fire escape. You can't go back in the hall, there's smoke and the fire is right there. What would you do? So Rabbi Galinsky trying to take in the situation. You can't go this way, you can't go that way, you can't jump. I said, what would you do? Rabbi, tell me. So I said, I broke out in a cold sweat, and I said, I don't know. You can't go this way, that way. Rabbi, what would you do? He goes, I don't know. What would I do? He goes, I don't understand you, he said. I told you it's only a dream. Why don't you wake up and walk out? Now, I forgot how we use this story. But this is my point today, Tyre Yidden. There are so many people that are living in this terrible dream of Nefesh Mi Bahala, of Lama Hari Yosef, of why, and they want to give their bunch advice of where to go, and they're being overtaken by all the problems. Why do we choose Lama Hari Yosef when ours, it's just a dream, it's just a bad dream? For the Maimon, there's a beautiful world of Hoydel Hashem Ki Toiv. Von sich allein entläuft man nicht. That's the mahalach of a Maimon. He knows that the Baruch has a chesed for everything. Ich bin in guter Hand. Hashem Roi lo Achsar. A Yid, a Maimon ben a Maimon should be living a life of Me'ein Olam Haba of der Welt. It's up to us to live with that betochen, with that golden reine Yiddish betochen. And we should all be zoicha to the bracha of Ashrei Adam Beiteyach Bach. Thank you.
Ich will stark bedanken für Rabbi Zev Smith für seine warme Werte, für seine Drusches. Da soll mechazig sein, er soll kein Wort umgehen mit seiner heiligen Arbeit, soll hupen agit gepennt Shiur. In 10 Minuten, wenn hupen das Schiess, hupen das quere Einschlieder, wo sie verämpfen alle schwere Schales. Quote noch wird sein, der nächste Shiur. The next yeshiva is in the 5 minute. Amen.